Hey everybody, it's Lex from pdq.com. I'm going to take you through optimizing, and maybe optimizing isn't the right word, but getting your inventory set up for a large environment. We're talking 3, 4, 5,000 plus machines. Maybe I should say 4 or 5,000 plus machines. Some things I've observed from doing this for a while. First thing we need to talk about is what kind of hardware to put that on. Okay, the thing that's going to help you out the most is basically your processor and your memory. You know, multiple threads, being able to run multi-thread processing is great. So again, if you put this on a VM, it's great because then you can kind of, you know, alter the number of threads and the amount of memory. Speaking of memory, when it comes to memory, you want to be able to make sure that you can read your database into memory. So again, take a look at the size of your current database, right? Mine's 9 meg, which is kind of teeny, obviously, because I've only got 30 machines, but if you can imagine, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 machines, you could have a 2 or 3 gig database. So with that in mind, you probably want to go at least 8 gig of memory, up to 16 gigs, so you can get this into memory and it reads and it'll have better performance for you. Finally, put it on some fast disk, okay? Inventory does write a lot to disk, so SSD if you can, the faster, the better. So, and finally, the other thing you want to take a look at is when you install this, put it on a server operating system for all your large environments, because server operating systems can handle more network connections. And of course, this is going to be spawning a bunch of network connections to do scans. Speaking of scans, let's talk about those really quick. So if we go into your scan profiles, you'll notice, scan profiles, here we go. I've got a bunch of different scans. Only a couple of these are actually scheduled to run. The standard scan by default runs every 7 days, and that's great. But let's say you needed to scan, say, servers more often. So we could go into computer information. Let's say we're looking for uptime. Go into computer information. You can set the triggers on this to run in an interval. Let's say, actually, we want that to run every day, or an interval, excuse me. Grab it. Every day. Let's say we want it to run every 5 hours, right? Or every 4 hours. So starting at 10 a.m. every day, we'll have it run a computer scan. More importantly, once you get that triggered, is you can limit the number of machines by going and linking to a collection. Again, these can be any of the collections you've done. I'm just going to grab servers. And so now this computer information, as it runs on the time frame I set up, it will just run on the collection of servers there. So that's how you can get information on a more frequent basis on a smaller subset of that large environment. Speaking about scans, let's go and look at some of their the other preferences here that we can set to get the best performance. So obviously our database, you should optimize that. I would say probably once a month. Just make sure that you don't have any scans running, because when you optimize that, it'll abort any scans that are running. Let's jump down here to network. Okay. Your interval for your heartbeat. Heartbeat's a ping. We're looking for a response back from a machine. If you've got 4,000 machines, okay, we will wait up to 2 seconds per machine, all right, to get a response back. Now, it doesn't take that long, but let's just, for ease of math, so that we can do our swag, you know, our scientific wild arithmetic guess. Anyway, let's say it takes a half a second on average to get back from everybody. So 4,000 divided in half, that's 2,000 seconds. I'm kicking off a whole set of pings, whole set of heartbeats every 300 seconds. So before it ever finishes that first go round, it's kicking off another one. Not the best practice. So I would definitely go in here and bump that up. 900 seconds maybe. Because, you know, it's not going to take half a second to get a response back, but definitely play with that. Find your sweet spot. You don't want to be continually spawning, you know, heartbeats. The other thing you need to go take a look at is performance. A couple of quick sets here. If all you're running is PDQ Deploy and inventory on this server, go ahead and hit this disable service manager for TCP connections. This affects, and it's a global setting on the machine. So any other programs are on there, this will affect those on how the remote service is using TCP to connect to machines. This will speed things up, but if you got other things on there, you may want to test it, and if it causes havoc with other applications, put it back to default. More importantly is your concurrent number of scans. All right, so here we go. Concurrent number of scans. I can scan 32 machines at a pop. And as a free one comes, it'll add and just keep that at 32. Well, that seems like it's going to take a long time to get through all 4,000 or 5,000 of those machines. It will. It'll take some time. The thing, though, is you don't want to overrun your network connections on your machine. You don't want to overrun processor, and you definitely don't want to stack too much data to be processed. Because here's the thing. It goes and runs a scan. It returns that data. It's got to read and write that into the database. So if all of a sudden I get, let's say, 200 scans back at the same time, it can't read them all at the same time. It's going to go through and start queuing those. Okay. I've actually seen it to where it's had so much data out there. I've seen a scan finish, and I've clicked on the machine to go find out what's going on with that machine, and it hadn't updated the scan time because it hadn't read the data in. So not a good place to be. So you want to, again, do that swag. I would start at 64. If you got that many machines, start at 64, kick off a scan for 1,000 machines and time it. See what happens, see how long it takes for it to finish. Okay. I know it takes a little time, but then bump that up to 64. Again, I go in bits, 8, 16, 32, 64. That's me. 128, bump it to the next level. Okay. Run that scan again and time it, or run another 1,000 machines and time it. I realize a lot of things come into play, network traffic, different machine. It's a swag. Okay. It'll get you an idea of where you're hitting your optimum to actually get this to read your data as quickly as possible. Ultimately, those are the things that are going to affect you the most in regards to your large environments. Your hardware that it's on, remember, memory enough to read it into the database into memory, fast disk, and plenty of threads. And then on top of it, set your pings, set your concurrent scans. And, if you've got to do a subset of scans, make those scanners that I showed you and set them just after those specific machines. That should help you guys out. If you have any questions, let us know. I'm Lex from pdq.com. Thanks for watching.